So, good evening, all. In my previous video, I talked about the thoughts of the young people from the Arab world and thoughts about young people from the globe. And I started to talking about Maslow pyramid and how different people thinks on different age groups. And we started talking about people who are from the age of 14 until the age of 25, how their main concern will be to fit in, and their fit-in strategies will be highly associated with the communities that they belong to and with the established norms that they have within their communities. On the other side, I will be talking uh, about the global youth and how they are thinking and what are the differences. So the fit-in strategies that we talked about for the Arab young people is highly associated with their community, and we start talking about communities that are affected by religion, and we started talking that young people might be highly interested in achieving, in memorizing the whole Quran, for example, or in reading different religious scripts because their community enforce this particular achievement as a way of achieving respect. There are other communities that we talked about achieving academic degrees or achieving high degrees at the university that they are that they firmly associated with respect. So people try to achieve these degrees from respected universities or from prestigious universities, so they can think if they have achieved this level of respect, they can move to the next level of achievement until they reach the level of self-actualization. What happens in the Arab world, it's at the age of 23, where a lot of people who have made many several achievements that are respected by their communities cannot follow on with the achievement of getting a highly paid job or a highly respected job, as sometimes this kind of achievement is not associated with the actual reason for getting that job. So in many situations, the way to get let me say a highly paid job, which is something that many people consider a significant achievement, is by your link to the power structure and by the relations that you have. And this is sometimes is associated with history. So if you are born within a community, if you are part of a community that already have established relationships across different sectors, then by all means you would be achieve this achievement regardless whether you achieve the, let me say, whether you were you're the first in your class or the last in your class. The most important thing is that you can at least do some level of the job. uh, while Western or global young people tend to think about this situation as it's already as a situation that has already been achieved, and they try to establish some kind of norms that link universities with companies or with ministries or within organization, so that they can move from universities to uh, companies in a sustainable way. However, both of the systems does not create a sustainable value for the community as a whole, or for the community as in terms of advancing the community in a way of, let me say, innovation, or in a way that can lead to significant income, or that can lead to significant contribution. As if you joined an organization on a junior level, the possibility of your success is highly associated with your boss or with your manager, and this is in both situation, on the global trend and on the young, let me say, on the Arab trend, because sorry. Because this situation is highly affected by your relationship. And your relationship does not mean that it will generate a significant bottom line results for the organization or for the country. Be an example of that being a global organization, or being a global organization, or being a small entity. And with this dilemma, many young people in the Arab world start to think about concepts like immigration, concepts like corruption, concepts like freedoms, concepts like revolution, because they feel that the only hinder for their achievement was not the actual was not coming from their lack of achievement, but actually was coming from the society. And this is actually partially true, but it's also partially false. Because even if you have been in a level where you are equal with that person who, let me say, uh, got an achievement or has fit in a particular organization or has fulfilled a particular position, this does not mean that you will be the leader or the manager or the person in place that will affect the bottom line result of the organization, as the situation become more complex than that. With that, we see a community that is punishing somehow a true bottom line contribution, whether it was in terms of uh, let me say innovation, or in terms of sales, or in terms of impact and influence. So a lot of for example, let us look at influence on a community. So a lot of the influence that is happening from different social media influencers does not emphasize a particular values or a particular way for moving forward. So you would see that, yes, you can see a performance that is fun and that can be, let me say, engaging, but at that stage many young people are not in a position that they are trying to fit in, or they are trying to be, let me say, funny, or they are trying to show some level of spontaneity, rather than they are trying to get on with their lives and trying to move to the next step. With that, I think it's very important that our society, let me say, the Arab society and even the global society, try to emphasize on the creation of bottom line results, and the creation, let me say, of some level of innovation, and some level of team building, and some level of values that are associated with our actual problems. So there is some level about influence. We have a problem of influence. We have a leadership problem, and also we have an economic problem. So, for example, if we take a country like Saudi Arabia, which is the biggest country in the region, so their actual problem is not really is highly associated with the economy. So we are seeing a lot of people are losing their jobs, or not because they have made any kind of mistake, but because the economy is doing bad, because the oil prices went down because a global competition, and then projects from the government start to decrease, and then companies could not sustain the same level of employments that they had before, and suddenly the young people feel detached. They feel some level. They feel, let me say, hopeless. They feel that they did not do any particular mistake, or they could not affect the situation, and they have just been in a position where they are really the ones that are affected. And with that, I see an importance of creation of a sustainable way for sustaining talent that are connected with bottom line results, that are connected with actual economical results, because this is the actual problem that people are facing. It's not about how is your relationship with your media manager, or how is your relationship with your colleagues, and it's about how my contribution can affect the situation, the big picture of the situation. how my existence can affect my sense of belonging for the people in a good way. Because at the end of the day, you belong to a certain group of people, and you need to understand what are their goals, what are their objectives, what are the challenges they face, and how I can help in pushing that forward. And I see a significant gap across different sectors in the group to connect young people with bottom line results rather than to connecting young people with let me say a fake lifestyle or irrelevant kind of a life that is not associated with what we really need. Uh, that is being put in place. I see a trend of entrepreneurship coming to the Arab region, which is good, but I think there are structural problems within the entrepreneurship ecosystem, and I can see there are structural problems within the talent pool within uh, young people in the Arab world. I see that the situation has become much more advanced in the West. They have a much better structure to support entrepreneurs, and they have a much better structure to push bottom line results through young people. Some countries are better than the others, but in general, I think the situation on a global level is still tends to managing people rather than engaging people and inspiring them to engage action that can result in bottom line results that can affect the prosperity of the world in general. Uh, we see that the problem that young people in the Arab world face start after the university graduation, while we see the problems that faces young people in the global world and the Western world start around at the age of 27, 28, 29. Some organization has managed actually to overcome this problem by building some level of schemes or some level of systems that support young people and their contribution to the bottom line results of the organization, sometimes through patents if you are an R&D, sometimes through sales, sometimes through let me say top line parameters in terms of managing people or peer review. So I think it is the start of a conversation about how we can engage young people on the global sphere to think about how to push bottom line results of their communities and of their organization is something important. Our young people at the age of 14 to 25 thinks about how to fit in, and we need to really to try to emphasize fit in strategies or fit in norms or fit in lifestyles that actually affect our bottom line results rather than try to focus on some fit in strategies that can waste time or can actually be destructive. One